Episode 16, with the hungriest man on YouTube, Travis S.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining me this week on what I know is going to be another amazing episode. I am your host, Chase Tuning, and this is Ever Forward Radio. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to this week's episode. I am joined by another great guest. I'm here with none other than the rich homie himself, Mr. Travis S. Travis, how's it going, man? Thanks for being on the podcast.
Hey, pretty good, man. Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure.
So Travis is someone that I have been watching off and on over the years, but I got to say the past probably 6 to 7 months, I've really enjoyed making sure that I catch all of his videos. You probably have seen his videos. He's just a diehard food challenge guy. He comes up with some amazing recipes for YouTubers. So I'll stop talking, let Travis kind of explain who he is, what he does, and why he's doing it all.
Awesome. So, my name is Travis. I grew up in a small town in Ohio, and I'm actually a professional accountant, so a little bit different than most backgrounds on YouTube. But when I was finishing up grad school, I was thinking towards the future. I was getting ready to start my typical job and was trying to fill in some time. Like, what am I going to do? And I was big into watching YouTube fitness. So I said, why not? Let's give it a try. And ever since then, it's been, I guess, close to 3 years now. I've been kind of running with the YouTube thing, and it's definitely progressed over the years. I know you've mentioned the food thing. That's kind of how it started out when I was trying to build up the channel a little bit. So it's kind of where I guess my reputation lies at this point. But it's kind of evolved over the last months and last years even. So just having that side hustle, I guess you'd call it, in addition to the demanding corporate job, it's been great. It's been a lot of fun and keeps things interesting.
So one of the things that I pick up on in a lot of the people that I've interviewed so far is that they kind of nonchalantly just say, yeah, I just thought I would pick up a camera and do this whole YouTube thing, YouTube fitness thing. It's a lot more involved than that, I think, for some people, myself included. So you had to have been doing something. You had to have been living this health and wellness, this fit life, incorporating exercise into part of your daily routine on a basic level before you started filming it, right?
Absolutely, yeah. It's been a big part of my life probably since I was like 18 years old, I think, when I got into it really seriously. It's something that I've always loved. It's been kind of my passion, my getaway, my therapy, if you will.
Yeah.
So I've always been into the health and fitness thing, and I figured, what better way to share my message? Because where I was from, I didn't know a lot of people personally that were into this lifestyle. If I were to go out to campus or hang out with my friends and ask them anything about counting macros or anything related to that, they would have thought I was crazy. They wouldn't have known what I was talking about. So just knowing that there's so many more people out there and so much more opportunity if you just kind of step outside of your comfort zone and get involved with something like YouTube.
Absolutely. So going from living it to putting it on a platform, what was that transition like? Was it something you were just naturally comfortable with? Because now, in all of your latest videos and pretty much anyone who has a successful YouTube channel, you're out and about, you're living your daily life, your work life, you're going out to eat, and you have this giant concoction, this like transformer camera tripod thing in front of you. What was that progression like of just putting something in front of you and talking by yourself into now living life with it at your side?
I have to say it was probably the most uncomfortable thing that I've ever done, especially being such a naturally introverted person. And one of the reasons I actually went to YouTube first is because I was so introverted. I was so quiet and I wasn't the best spoken. So I figured, what better way to get me ready for my corporate career? I knew I was going to have to start doing presentations and being in front of a large group. So I figured, let's do it on the internet, because if I can put myself out there in front of however many strangers are watching at the time, I should be able to kind of improve my public speaking skills a little bit. So it was rough. I've hidden most of my first videos because they were that bad. It's just so uncomfortable, and I can't imagine if someone came across one of those videos that they would ever want to subscribe. I'm not sure how I ever got even 1 or 2 subscribers from those videos, but I've definitely come a long way, and still to this day I struggle holding the camera in front of my face because my natural instinct is to not really say anything, not say much at all. So it's personally, I think I've developed more just from a communication standpoint than anything.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's been great, and it really has translated into my career, which has been huge. When I do present, I get a lot of compliments and I get a lot of positive feedback on my presentation skills, especially when it's from an accountant. We're not known to be too well spoken, so it's done me well.
I don't know. One of my previous guests, Mr. Brian DaCosta, he actually, oddly enough, he also is an accountant. He does the number crunching by day and the weightlifting by night.
Yeah, I listened to that episode as well, and it was cool when I first got introduced to him from Amanda to see that there's someone else out there. And that's what the beauty of YouTube is online. You always feel like you're alone. You're like, there can't be anyone else out there like me, and you realize very quickly that there's thousands.
So, Travis, you thought you were destined to walk the world alone, lifting weights, recording videos, and creating number spreadsheets. But you know what? I'm going to hook you up with Brian. I think you guys can be best friends.
I think so too, man.
So I want to go back to something you said that honestly, at this point, just the amount of exposure that I have and have, had conversations and interviewed and talked to people, I'm pretty well versed and, in the YouTube world as far as, just having a kind of a big network. And one of the biggest things that I get back from a lot of the people I've spoken to is they're just that. They're natural introverts, which always kind of blows my mind that someone who, if we look at the definition of an introvert, which I don't have the Webster dictionary in front of me, but it's someone who naturally prefers to be by yourself with minimal amount of people, usually not out and about at large events, loud noises. But you were like that, right? And then wanted to go 0 to 100 and not only just baby step it into like, hey, I'm going to go to a party with 10 people or have some people over. You went on to the world. You went onto the internet. Why that big jump? Why just, why just jumping headfirst into the deep end?
That's an interesting question. I've never really thought too much about it, but in hindsight, looking back, it was a very interesting part of my life. And I think I was finishing up graduate school. There's a lot of things that were changing at the time. And I think I got to the point where I was just thinking to myself, there's nothing to lose. There was a lot of changes going on, and I just needed something to take over my mind and take over my time. And I knew that with what was happening, that time would be my worst enemy. So yes. I wanted to fill that time up. And I kept thinking to myself, like, well, what do I enjoy doing? I enjoy lifting weights. I enjoy being in the gym, and I enjoy watching YouTube fitness. That was my pastime. To this day, I still don't have cable TV. I don't watch. I shouldn't say this because I know this is probably going to offend you. You might not air this, but I hate movies.
Oh no! You hate movies?
Yeah, I hate them. I can't stand them.
Why don't you like movies?
Sit still that long.
Oh, just the matter of having to sit still for that long.
Yeah, which is crazy coming from an accountant who everyone thinks is just sitting at a desk all day. But for whatever reason, I can't stay focused on one thing for that long, and just has never been my thing.
So what if I sent you over a copy of Ben Affleck's latest movie, The Accountant?
I did watch that.
You did?
I tried to make it through because I was in the middle of a food challenge and trying to watch that at the same time. So I got bits and pieces, but I wish I was that cool of an accountant, but that's about all that I got out of it.
Hey, we can't all be Batman, I guess.
Hey, I can try, though.
So, clearly it worked out for you. So you took that kind of leap of faith. You realized something in yourself that not necessarily was good or bad, but something that you just wanted to change, right? And you found this platform of YouTube. You found this platform of filming and started creating these videos. So was it just a natural draw into the fitness world, or did you start out kind of doing vlogs, or just, what was it kind of that was that catalyst for you that you're like, yes, this is my niche, this is what I'm going to film?
Yeah, it started out basically just kind of, I think like most fitness channels, just like gym footage and things like that. I think one of the things that really drew me to it is honestly how bad I was at it. I think that's kind of, I've just embraced the challenge. And I think if it would have come easy, and if I was really good at it at first, I probably wouldn't have kept being interested in it, honestly.
Yeah.
But I saw how like bad, and I knew they were bad. I don't know why I decided to upload them at the time, but I knew I had to eventually. But it started out just kind of I was just getting involved with powerlifting for the first time, so I was recording my workout, sending it over to the coach, uploading it to YouTube. Some people were starting to watch. I would get comments like, well, what else are you doing, or what are you eating, or what do you do throughout the days now that you're finished with school? How can you show us how you incorporate this into your job? So it kind of built up from there. And again, I was never comfortable with a lot of this stuff, especially the whole concept of vlogging. I think I'm on record saying that I would never be a vlogger, walking around a store with a camera, and here I am a few years later, and I'm exactly that. You're
doing exactly what you said you wouldn't do.
Right, exactly. And at first I was, I would always tell people, like, why do you care what I'm doing? And I think to me, like, it's really like, and I ask that question a lot, like, why do people watch vlogs? But it really is interesting to see how other people are living and how they're able to incorporate certain things into their lives. So I definitely get it. But at the time, I was very certain that I would only be the gym guy because that was my passion. I would do workout videos, and that's about it. And it's changed dramatically. Now you'd be pressed to find more than 2 minutes of workout footage in one of my videos.
It's funny. There definitely has been a kind of a shifting, changing of the tide in this quote unquote fitness YouTube world. It's no longer wanted where it's like you just put the camera in front of you, you show all your workouts, all your reps, talk about what you're doing, your training programming, and that's it. It really has kind of shifted from gym only, workout only to, okay, we want to see 90% life and 10% gym.
Right.
What is your kind of thoughts behind that? Why maybe this shift? Is it just the change and the availability of stimulus? There's all these different ways for people just to see 24 hours what everyone else in the world is doing, live video, Snapchat, Instagram Live. YouTube has definitely shifted in a lot of different ways. So why do you think maybe it's kind of gone from fitness-oriented to life-oriented?
I think because the appeal is incorporating fitness into your life and not making fitness your entire life. I think that's why people get burnt out extremely quick.
Kind of like that balance.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what people are really interested in are seeing people like your brother and seeing people like Christian who are taking fitness and building a livelihood off of it and doing some amazing things, building brands, building companies. And that's the interesting part. I mean, how many times can you talk about a bicep curl or a bench press? Yeah, we love to lift, but I think most of us can agree that we love to lift ourselves a lot more than we like to watch other people lift. So I think it's cool to see this is how we incorporate it into our lives, but it's not what we're doing 24/7, 365.
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely get behind that. And that, if you're watching this type of video, if you're watching Travis, Christian Guzman, Masthetics, Meg Squats, insert every other fitness well-known YouTuber here, we all kind of connect because we like to work out. We like to kind of live this, healthy lifestyle. But I think people are looking for a bigger, better way to connect on some other way that they can grow. Because watching this person do a bicep curl so many times isn't going to make your biceps any bigger. But watching this person do a bicep curl in the gym that they started, that they got the bank loan for, or they sold T-shirts to stockpile their own account for and open up on their own, that's the story. I think that's the process, the journey that I see a lot of other people connecting with and can want to aspire to themselves.
Exactly. And I think, if it was just about the working out, then it would always be the case where the biggest, most jacked guys had, the biggest followings and the best YouTube channels, which isn't the case at all. It's more about, what kind of life can you build for yourself and what can you do with that following and how can you help them? So it presents a whole new level of opportunity for both the creators and the audience.
I'm going to cue the Aladdin song right here, A Whole New World, and we're just going to talk over it for the rest of the podcast.
See, I wouldn't have known that's a movie reference. That's how fun I am.
Oh, you know the song, A Whole New World? No?
No, I don't.
Oh, man, your childhood was deprived. You ever see the movie Aladdin?
Maybe back in the day.
Okay. Well, I was partial to it myself growing up, and I always had a crush on Jasmine. There was, this Middle Eastern genie in a bottle story, and I guess that's why I married a Persian girl now, because I finally found my Jasmine.
It all makes sense now. It all comes together.
Yeah, right. So, Travis, I wanted to kind of go back to something you said earlier about you realized there was this thing, again, like I said, it wasn't good or bad, but something that was that you wanted to change, that you felt you were bad at, that you wanted to get better at. That is a huge self-awareness recognition piece in anyone's life that, hey, I'm doing something that I perceive as bad or I want to change. So, what was it like to go through, regardless of whatever it was you were doing, of just recognizing I want to change something, now I'm changing it, and then where do you stand now in that process?
It was very rewarding, getting outside the comfort zone, looking back at some of those older videos, seeing how much I've progressed, and as I sit here today, I'm still not happy with where it's at. I look at people like you and look at people like you and your brother, and just seem so naturally charismatic and just can speak about anything in front of anyone. And that that's still what I aspire to get to. And so I think still having so far to go, it keeps me motivated. But it's still being able to look back and just seeing. I think that's one of the greatest parts about recording yourself is you don't really remember where you were at a certain place in time unless you physically see it, which is so cool. I love to go back and watch some of those older older videos and just see how far that it really has evolved. And I think one of the coolest things is knowing that you can still continue to keep getting better and better, so that there's still a lot of opportunity there.
Do you have a current goal that you're working on that you're trying to get better at, or is it still kind of this continuation of finding this comfort level of speech and getting in front of a camera and just kind of parlaying it into YouTube? Is that still your main goal, or what's something maybe you're trying to improve upon right now?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest goals, both in YouTube, professional, and just personally, is becoming that communicator that can easily describe what's on their mind, and just being able to do it fluently, and I guess a little bit more directly without coming off as scripted.
Yeah, I love what you said about focusing on what's on your mind. I a lot of times view filming yourself, whether it's audio, video, but especially when I look back at some of my personal videos, and I'm sure you can kind of relate. If you don't go into it with a set script, if you kind of just want to all right, I want to film today, where I'm going, what I'm doing, to me it's like a great visual diary process. And it really it allows us to project our thoughts, what we're feeling, ideas out into the world. And it's a lot different when you see that versus just mulling it over in your head. So have you ever caught yourself like in a video maybe that you've put out, or maybe something that you filmed and wound up not using, of kind of like that aha moment of, wow, I didn't know I was thinking this, or kind of that visual reflection process that I think YouTube is in a lot of ways?
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of filming yourself, because I think that's one of the things that's helped me become more self-aware, is you catch yourself doing certain things, and you catch yourself doing with certain mannerisms that you either like or don't like, and that's how you really study and evolve from there. So I think any public speech class that I've been in, or any professional development class that I've seen, they've always recommended that you record yourself. Now they don't tell you that you have to put it on the internet for thousands of people, but that definitely doesn't hurt.
That's the next class.
Yeah, it gives you a little bit of extra motivation to get it figured out a little bit quicker, because you don't want to put yourself out there that's not your best, right? But it's definitely been beneficial.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I think what you said as far as, taking these classes, self-education, professional development, regardless of whatever your profession or interest is, I love that. So I'm really glad to hear that, I'm sure it's helping your profession, your 9 to 5, because it sounds like you have to get in front of a group of people and present on a topic, talk about this spreadsheet. That's the only reference I have for accounting. It's just spreadsheets.
Well, I'm surprised. Usually it's taxes that people talk
yeah, okay, there it is. Yeah, I gotta say one of the things that I do in my role in my 9 to 5 is budgeting, and I gotta say that I have death by spreadsheet on a weekly basis. And if I get outsourced, you know what? Send me your rates for accounting, because I'm just going to send you my budget and you do it. Because if I have to stare at another Excel sheet, I'm going to jump out the window.
Yeah, we can make a little trade. You hook me up with some public speaking lessons, and I do the budget for you.
I'm all about the barter system, my friend.
Absolutely.
So, public speaking has definitely been something you've been working on, and I think watching you, listening to you, it's very obvious. I went back to some of your older videos to now, and I definitely think there's a great progression. You seem very comfortable in front of it. You are very aware, and you enunciate in your speech. So I think the process, the evolution of that change in you is very evident.
I appreciate that. That's great to hear.
Yeah, man. And another thing, and going back and watching your videos, is they always make me hungry, because you're always eating. You're always making some amazing food or going out to some amazing food challenge. So where did that come from? Do you just have like a bottomless pit stomach like me? Or, what is it that these food challenges have for you that just keeps drawing you back?
Interesting question. It'll be surprising to some people that watch my videos. So I think it's more of a useless talent that I'm able to eat a lot of food. because I think
useless talent. I love that.
Yeah. I've seen some people that have different food channels that are very, very passionate about food, and they love to cook.
Yeah.
And they know all the intricacies of everything food related. And that's not me at all. I'm very basic when it comes to my food choices. I'd be perfectly content eating oatmeal and Brussels sprouts all day.
Brussels sprouts represent.
Yeah, exactly. Let's make vegetables cool. That's my motto.
That's right. Yeah.
Not enough vegetables in the world. Which is ironic if you watch some of my food challenges, because I'm out eating, the menu at McDonald's or something crazy like that. But the way that those food challenges really came about was solely based off of YouTube's response. For whatever reason, people really love the food challenges, and people love the food videos. And I know I can make a video that's not food related, and it will have half the amount of views as the food videos.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That is so wild to me. I don't often do like full days of eating or if it fits your macros type videos, but when I do, it's exponentially bigger. I'm always blown away at the things that interest people, the things that they want to watch. I'm like, really? Right. Thousands of more people want to just watch me eat throughout the day than want to, see what I'm doing in my life or watch me work out or hear whatever I have to talk about. But it blows my mind.
Yeah, it's crazy because I feel like I put out some videos that have some great content, some really powerful messages I've learned throughout the years. I think could help a lot of people, but those do not get the response that a simple full day of eating video would do, or go to Arby's and eat, 1,000 roast beef sandwiches or whatever it might be. It's crazy to me. So what I have tried to do is use those food videos almost as, I guess, a tool to bring people into my vlog type videos, the videos that I'm a lot more passionate about. And, it hasn't worked out as much as I would have liked because some people are still subscribed to the channel and they will only click if there's food involved, which is fine. But I have been able to convert some people over to the videos that I'm really passionate about making. I mean, I love the editing process. I love putting together these stories. And I feel like I'm not really able to do that with food as much because I don't have that passion for it, which a lot of people would be surprised to hear. I love to eat, but I mean, to really go out and make some elaborate recipe is just not in my interests.
Yeah, there are only so many sick angles you can get of a cheeseburger and a side of Brussels sprouts, right?
Yeah, I mean, people can only watch me eating ice cream in slow-mo so many times before they just get sick of it, I would think. But they continue to be my most watched videos, and I try to use those as a growth vehicle to build up the channel. Yeah. And I think it's definitely 100% my fault that I'm known as the food guy because that's the type of videos I put out at least once a week. But at the end of the day, what I'm most passionate about and the videos that I feel most strongly about are definitely those videos with not even necessarily workout related, but just life messages that I've picked up.
Absolutely, I agree. And kind of what you said reminds me that in this industry, and a lot of people forget that this is an industry. There are definitely people that just put up videos for fun to share your vacation with your in-laws or whatever. But we do this for a purpose. We do it for the passion, but also most people who do it seriously have that long-term vision of this being a full-time venture, or at least something that is a very large and significant part of their life. And so what I'm hearing what you have done, and I know that I do sometimes, and anybody who does this seriously, is that you have to cater to your demographic. You have to listen to the population. You have to give the people what they want, and in the same sense, spin it so that you can provide that product or service of what the people want, and at the same time try to guide them into your passion project, your content that you are most proud of and want people to really connect with. And I think that gets lost in translation a lot because people think, oh, you're just doing it for the views, the thumbnail clickbait. So how do you work around that process of A, giving the people what they want, B, directing them to the content that you're most proud of, while at the same time, being genuine with it all?
Right. I think one of the things is knowing how important it is to have other people's attention. If you have their attention, you can do a lot of great things for them and yourself. So if you can get them into a well-produced video that interests them, maybe it is about food, and just let them know that, hey, I've got other content out here. A lot of times what I'll do is, as we all know, people love giveaways. So maybe I'll do a food video, and in there I'll do a giveaway if you go and just check out one of my other non-food related videos.
People love free stuff.
And I've gotten some pretty good feedback on that. People come in and say, hey, I've never watched anything but your food videos, but I really like this. So that's one of the strategies that I'll use.
Yeah, same here. I recently did a video. One of my good friends, Nick Bear, has a supplement line, Bear Performance Nutrition, bpnsubs.com. Shameless plug. I'm not sponsored by them by no means, but he's just a good friend of mine who's growing a great business that I believe in. And so I did a supplement review for all of his supplements and his products. And part of that, I did to direct and draw attention to my YouTube channel, but also to direct and draw attention to his supplement line, because I want to help him grow. But I did it through the angle of, hey, I'm going to do a full product line giveaway, but you have to do something. So people love free stuff, but what I had them do was, I wanted to grow my podcast here. So they went over, did a 5-star rating and review, really helped me gain some awareness in the podcast world, grow myself, grow Nick's supplement line. And that video alone is the most commented video I've ever gotten because people love free stuff. But at the same time, I was so frustrated because it was like, what do I have to do? What do we have to do to get that same engagement and connection with the audience that people were trying to, help or share our story with, without having to give away free stuff all the time?
I know, because that's unfortunately not something you can do every single video. But I think just kind of keeping that in mind is what people want to see is important, but it's got to be kind of a win-win, because like you kind of use to bring people to your podcast, something that you strongly believe in, something that is doing great things for a lot of different people. It's kind of that win-win scenario.
Yeah, and so you don't always bring people into your channel for food or for PE science or whatever crazy concoction you're whipping up for protein brownies or something like that. One of your favorite videos that I watched was, I forget the title, but it was put out probably a couple months ago. You were back home on your home farm. Your old house was there. Your new house was there, and you kind of took us on that journey of young homie Travis, of your childhood, and kind of. I felt this immediate connection because that story was so believable and the way you did the video was so well put together, but also the loss that you had, and I really felt that was a driving message and a big reason about what you're doing, why you're doing it, was the loss of your mom. So that video was kind of seemed like, an homage to her and talking about the legacy of what she gave you and how you are the person you are today. And I immediately connected because, that's the whole premise of Everforward Radio, is this message that my late father passed down to me, my siblings, my whole family of, live a life ever forward. And like I was talking about the moments before we started recording, I just thought it was something my dad was saying just to like be a smart dad or like have me to stop getting in trouble. But, I never really connected with me. I never really clicked with it, honestly, until years later. And so it's the driving force behind what I'm doing now. And so what is it about the loss process for you that has propelled you forward to kind of help put you on this bigger platform to make you a better person, to give you that extra drive?
Yeah, that it's interesting you say that, because I don't know, had I not gone through that loss, I don't know that I ever would have put myself out on social media.
Really?
I changed a lot at that moment, and I know it's kind of become bad to say when people say that you change. It's become a criticism, but
Yeah.
I can say wholeheartedly I have changed so much, and a lot of that is due to the loss of my mother. We were I can't recall ever meeting two individuals that were closer than my mom and I. I was an only child.
Mm-hmm.
She raised me. We did every single thing together. And when she first got diagnosed with cancer, we got a phone call from a random reporter and saying, "Hey, I've heard about your guys' relationship through the community.
No
I want to do
way.
a story on you guys."
Really?
And it was eye-opening to me that we had a reputation of just having such a strong connection. That's still to this day one of my most proud moments, just being able to build that kind of relationship with another human. And I think one of the things that I'm forever grateful for is when she was sick, I was in college. I was just getting ready to go out to college for my freshman year, but I was only leaving to go 30 minutes away. So I came home every single weekend and was able to take care of her, which is, the biggest blessing I think I've ever been given, to be able to come home and be that caregiver. And that's why I always tell people, like, I feel like I've already been given everything in life that I could ever ask for, to be able to have that type of relationship, to be able to come back. Because it would have been, I've heard a little bit of your story as well, and you got to a point where you were out in the Army and your dad was sick. Yeah. And to me, I can't even imagine how difficult that was. And I feel very blessed that I was able to be there, 100% of the time.
Yeah, it's funny. You never really realize how much you take for granted time, togetherness, building relationships with people, until that's taken away from you, or you have something that's a huge divider put in between you. So, of course, dealing with that process in and of itself is a huge toll on the body, the mind, the psyche. And so definitely to hear that you were that close to your mom in that time of need was a huge blessing, I'm sure. It was definitely in a different boat. I was literally on the other side of the country. And so I took advantage of every long weekend holiday that I could to come home, but it was definitely nowhere near as often as I would have hoped.
Yeah, and I can't even imagine that. Like I said, that's one of the things that I will never take for granted, the ability just to be there, because it's very rare. To have that kind of access, I think, because usually especially when you're talking about the death of a parent, you're usually a little bit older, maybe living in different states or have a lot of other things going on. But it just so happened I was at a point in my life where I had to be in school Monday through Friday, but I was able to come home every weekend. And then in her last few months, I tried to graduate semester early just so I could spend more time with her. So I finished graduating a little bit earlier. So I graduated early, went back, just moved home permanently in her last few months, that I was able to be there, every second of every day. And it was just the only gap in my life that I would have ever had where I wasn't going to school and I wasn't working. So when I think about it like that, it's just, I'm still in shock of how you never want it to happen, but I couldn't have planned it any better, just to be able, because she needed a lot of assistance at that time as well. Yeah. And just kind of tying it back to how all that has kind of translated into who I am today, I see things so much differently than I did before all of that happened. You realize what's important in life, and you realize how strong you can actually be, and how many decisions are affected by health. So it really just changes your perspective on every little thing in life.
I could not agree more, man. It really put a huge new spin on my outlook, really on everything. And it took me a little while to realize that, because it happened. I was brand new in the Army, and I thankfully was home when my father passed, literally. And so I had a little bit of time to process, but then I immediately had to go back to, being a soldier for the next about 5 years. And so I didn't have really the luxury. I didn't really, honestly, truthfully, allow myself the proper grieving process to really sit back and reflect on what just happened. What does it mean? What are all these different emotions that I'm feeling? All things that I'm sure you experienced, and anyone listening who has felt or suffered a significant loss, friend, family, relative, parent. The grieving process is one of the most amazing things to me. How some people can just go through it and a week, a month, where someone like me, again, I had a lot of different life situations going on, but it honestly took me 10 years to be able to sit back, talk about it, process those emotions. Travis, if we were having this conversation even just, 2-3 years ago, I could have maybe gotten a sentence out before just getting extremely angry, furious, sad, start crying, literally body shaking, because I still had not gone through that process. And so it's so awesome to hear that anyone else who has gone through this has gotten something out of it and really realized that, that we can be strong at the broken places.
Yeah, and I think everyone has a different grieving process, and I think it takes different people different amount of time to kind of get over that. And a lot of people will say, time heals everything. I kind of disagree with that. I think that you get stronger over time as a person, but I don't think that it's time itself that's doing any of the healing.
I like that. That's an interesting approach. That's kind of putting a different spin on it. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. How has that helped you now in your relationship building processes as far as work, friends? Do you feel that you kind of pay a little bit more attention, or, how is that value of relationship building and time? How have you applied that now in your life?
Yeah, it opens your eyes to what's important and also the kind of relationships that you want to build. I'm definitely a depth over width type of person, so I would much rather have just a few close relationships as opposed to being, the quote unquote most popular guy around and everyone knows me and everyone, I'm quote unquote friends with everyone, but it's really surface level stuff. And you learn how important it is to invest in people. And that's something I think that I've never been particularly good at, kind of learning through the years of how I was brought up. I became quickly a workaholic where I would be so focused on work all of the time.
Yeah.
And again, I had a little bit of special circumstances in college because I was home every weekend with my mom, but social life was non-existent for someone like me. I just was so focused on getting a job and taking care of her and things like that. And now stepping back, looking at my current relationships, my friendships, and my relationships with my coworkers, really putting so much importance on the ones that really matter and the people that you feel like are going to be able to kind of reciprocate that same type of relationship.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what are some other things you're putting some importance on now? So outside of relationships and things like that, what is maybe something important you're working on now? What is down the line for Travis S. Rich Homie YouTube?
Well, I mean, I put a lot of emphasis on the channel, that's for sure, growing the channel. I have a lengthy goal of getting to 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2017, so I've got about 20,000 to go. It's going to be a struggle. It'll be an uphill battle to get there, but I'll definitely do everything.
That's a solid goal.
Yeah, that's a big milestone for me. So there is a little bit of challenge with working a pretty demanding corporate career. So it's 50, 55, 60 hours out of my week are already gone.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's any excuse because I think people look at YouTubers and think that all they do is make YouTube videos, which from the people that I know is not the case. Everyone that I know has their hands in another project, whether it be a clothing line or a different side business. So everyone's got their jobs and everyone's got the same 24 hours in a day. It's all about what you make of it. So in addition to growing the channel, I want to continue my career as well. So I've done pretty well from a career standpoint. I'm happy to say I'm much better at my career than I am at YouTube. So I definitely want to keep that going in the right direction.
So outside of crunching numbers and growing professionally and having this goal of 100,000 subscribers for your YouTube channel, what's maybe something totally different and random that most people wouldn't know about you that you like to do?
That's tough because as I kind of talked about the workaholic thing, I still don't do a very good job of the social aspects of things. I tend to work a lot, and I think nowadays it's glorified. I think a lot of people are watching Gary Vaynerchuk, and the hustle has become popular, and I kind of see things differently from my perspective because I don't think there's anything good about locking yourself in a room all weekend and just working your life away and not seeing your friends. I think that creates a lot of issues, and that's one thing I'm trying to get better at. So YouTube has, I think, challenged me in a way to get out and create better content. And one of the things that I'll try to do is get out there and create new experiences for myself and my friends. I had a few buddies come in from Canada last weekend, showed them around the city. So kind of being able to explore different things and continue to get outside of my comfort zone. I think I'm naturally someone that likes to do repetitive tasks over and over, things that I'm comfortable with. So just keep pressing myself in that way, and working on an ebook, which would probably be. Yeah, so I think that's going to be almost like an encompassing book on how I'm able to incorporate fitness things into a quote-unquote normal corporate type of life. So that's been taking up a little bit of time, but that's going to be more of a slow process.
All right, so what I'm hearing is that anyone and everyone who knows Travis listening to this right now, blow him up, text him, call him, invite him out to things, get him outside of the house and outside of his comfort zone, because you just heard it. It's a goal of his. Help him with it.
Yeah, I told one of my good buddies the other day, I was like, hey, man, I need you to just keep pestering me. Like, it doesn't matter how many times I say no and I'm too busy. Just show up at my house, man. Pull me out.
I mean, that's good. You're aware of the help that you need. And I think no matter what our goal is in life, no matter what we're trying to change or improve, having the ability to ask for help is a huge step in the right direction.
Yeah, and I think also seeing other people that do it well. I'm going to use you as an example. I think one of the reasons I really enjoy your YouTube channel is because you show a lot of different things that are going on in your life and how you're able to balance it all. Yeah. And being able to have a wife and a YouTube channel and a podcast and a day job, I'm amazed. I really am. And I use that as inspiration because I have it easy right now. You know, I'm not married. Yeah. I don't have kids. Like, it's only going to get worse in terms of time, right?
It's not worse. It's just it's very different.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't get easier is, I guess, the take-home message there. So being able to see that other people are able to do it without sacrificing their career aspirations and being able to pursue these passions that they have, that's inspiring to me.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I really appreciate that. I received that.
Yeah, it's really cool to see, and I think I guess going back to why do people watch vlog type of videos, that's a perfect example.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of wrapping things up and winding down here now, you know, again, Travis, it's been great talking to you, great connecting with you. I really feel that the privilege that I've had so far to interview great people that I watch, you know, on YouTube, or even some others that I listen to their podcasts, or I engage with them, I experience them in a different way. I got to say, so far, every time I talk to someone for this project, I learn so much more about them, and it really helps me build that connection. So I really appreciate you opening up and, you know, engaging with me and the audience in this way.
Yeah, and thank you. Like I was telling you before we jumped on the call, I've been listening to podcasts for a lot of years, and it's amazing to me to see how well that you're doing and how much value that you're adding already. And you just started this up in January, so awesome work.
Yeah, thanks, man. Like I said, it's definitely my baby. It's my passion project. It's the thing that I'm most proud of, and the thing that I am trying to invest and grow the best way possible to serve as many people as possible.
Top 10 in the charts, 2017. I'm calling it.
Hey, you heard it here first. So, Travis, one of my final questions that I've been asking to all my guests as of late is, like I told you before, and like anyone who is listening to this probably knows, my connection, my meaning behind those two words, ever forward. And so I want to ask you, what is it about Travis? What is it about your YouTube channel, your professional career, your products and or services that you provide? What is it that helps others that engage with you live a life ever forward?
I think it's just knowing that you can pursue multiple avenues. You can pursue everything that you hope and dream of while still providing a benefit to others. I think one of the most gratifying experiences that I've ever been through is helping someone else live a better life. And I think we kind of get caught in the mind where we have to look out for ourselves all the time, when really, if you're doing something that's going to provide a benefit for someone else, it's going to provide just as much, if not more, benefit for you. So if you're putting that good out into the world, it will most definitely come back full circle. Absolutely, my man. I cannot agree more. That is probably one of the biggest lessons that I have learned, one of the biggest experiences that I've had over the past, I would say about 2 years,
that I always thought was such a big cliche, like serve others, live to serve others, put others before yourself. And to a certain extent, I agreed with it. It was the way I was kind of raised, to always help others, be of service when you can, because it's the nice, polite thing to do. But kind of like echoing back what you're talking about with your mom was, really being there for someone else, really providing a way for someone else to succeed may help them more in the short term. But as you have realized, as you have experienced, as I've experienced, the long-term value that you get from that, you can't put a price tag on it. You can't learn it in any other way except by being there, making yourself available, and helping others, serving others, putting their needs above your own to a certain extent, of course. But the value, the ego shedding, the lessons that we learn in that process, I think there's no other portion of life that we can get that same essence from.
Right, and I think there's definitely a time and place to be selfish. So I think sometimes you have to be selfish to be selfless. So you have to take care of your passions and your desires in order to provide benefits to other people. Kind of like you're doing with your podcast, pursuing your passion of hosting this. But like we talked about, this isn't necessary for you. This is for the guest and the audience. So just kind of how that comes hand in hand.
Absolutely, man. So again, Travis, thank you so much for your time. I've really enjoyed this conversation, really enjoyed this interview. I'll link all of your contact information, your social media information in the show notes. So, but just real quick, where can everyone connect with you?
The biggest is YouTube. That's my baby, Travis S on YouTube. I'll be the first one that comes up if you type in Travis S or youtube.com/business and fitness. You'll find me there.
And full disclosure, everyone, he is not Travis Scott. He does not produce rap videos or have a mixtape dropping soon. Well, maybe, I don't know. Looking back at some of your old videos, I do know that you.
We're gonna cut the podcast off there.
All right, everyone. That's gonna be a wrap for this week's episode of Everforward Radio. Again, I'll link all of Travis's information in the show notes below. I hope you all have enjoyed this message. Travis, thank you again for your time.
Hey, thanks, Chase. It was a pleasure.